Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be painting this teddy bear holding a heart and a rose, and we're going to break this one into 4 parts. So I'm going to just focus on the heart today, and then we'll do the bear on one day, the rose on a day, and then we'll fill in the background on a following day. The reason for doing this is it allows us to focus more on the nuance and the shadows and lights that's playing here and arrive at a higher quality result. So we're going to start out by mixing some of our colors. And we have a what appears to be a pink heart with the word love inscribed on it. So, and a little bit of a star up there. And if you notice, I missed those in the transfer, so the lettering is going to be done by hand, a bit freehand. So let's get to it here. So we're going to start with some white. And we're going to bring down, I'm going to start with a little bit of crimson, I think. Just a small amount. It takes such a small amount to actually make a pink. Because the white really is weak in tinting strength versus some of these other colors here. So and it's not just a pink, it kind of leans a little bit purple. So we will, let's see here, got something, wrong window displayed here. Alright, that'll be a little better. So, I did not grab a paper towel handy, so let me wipe this palette knife off. And, hold on, we'll go with this Chev blue light. And I tend to build up a set of a pile of colors to pull from so I won't contaminate my original color as I adjust colors and make my mixes, so that I can go right back in without having to clean the knife off, just as a time saver. And this is way too high in value. I'm gonna have to bring it down some. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a variety of values for this hue before I even start painting, and then I can focus on just putting the value where it best fits in the object and move from value to value pretty seamlessly without having to stop and mix new values in between constantly. So we've got a pink that leans a little bit purple going here. We're still way high in value, so we're going to have to bring this down a little bit. So we'll add a little bit more crimson, a little touch more blue. Something that's pretty close to the ballpark here. We're gonna bring it down a little bit more. Nice. Alright. If you happen to hop on, feel free to say hi. I am kind of keeping an eye on the chat a little bit over there. We're very close. I'm going to clean this off because I do want to go back into that blue and pull some more of that down. Getting my pile kind of spread out a bit far. I'm going to try to pull that in. Alright, so we have a pretty good light value for our lightest parts of that little pillow. So now we're going to continually darken these in values and get about five or six different value levels here. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and that's for our lights. Looks like I'm probably going to have to mix some more. I didn't mix enough initially, so we'll darken it. We're actually going to add a little more red. Touch. Help desaturate a little bit as we move away from the more colorful regions into shadow. We're not in the shadow yet, so let's go ahead and keep it colorful. And I've got a glare, I can't. So we've got... and we're moving into there. Probably can't see it on the camera. There's actually a slight value difference as well as a little bit of a hue difference between these values. We're not as washed out, we're not in the light so bright. So we're going to leave that. We're going to mix a bit more, starting with some white again. And bring in the blue. And what we need here is something that ends up being even a lower in value than what we have off. I have to get out some more though. Red, I think. That's our Madder Lake Crimson. So we're getting into our shadows, so it's going to start losing some of its vibrancy. And this is always a decision that's hard to make, is how much paint do you set out? You know? Always run the risk of setting out too much. So what I did there was grab a little bit of Chev red. Bring some color back into this. I'm getting a little bit too into the blue-purple, so I'm trying to warm it up a little bit. So are you painting along with us today, or? Are we just watching the stream and relaxing, watching the painting start to come together? Thank you for the comment, Debbie. Yeah, I actually have another image with this bear where there's a baby teether ring. It just completely changes what you think of the bear when you see the image. It's kind of interesting how perspective of the whole scene changes how you relate to the individual pieces in that scene. Alright. Probably a little more red yet. Let's grab some from up here. I guess you probably can't see this right now. So let me get that where it's more visible. So you can see there's a step down in value here. And we're going to take some of this and separate it off as well. We're going to bring the value down even further. More crimson. Crimson's pretty low in value on its own. You can use it to help bring the value down some. Shadows have a little bit of blue, so I'm going to grab a touch of the ultramarine. Just going to make it lean a little more purpley, but lower the value, which is the result we're going for here. And then ultimately we'll take this value and we'll add a little black to desaturate and also reduce the value a bit further. Now, we have to mix a value for the, see how it's kind of a purple, but very dark. And that's going to work on our complete bottom edge of the pillow as it really turns into the, away from the light. So we have a whole 5-step value range here, and we'll be making in-between mixtures as well as we go to try to keep the value as spot on as we can make it. We will bring down a little more white here because we're going to have to color those letters in with a white value, a light value. It's not exactly going to be a white though, because there's various lights bouncing around. There's some light from the pillow itself, there's some light from the tablecloth blue also in there, so it's not a true straight white. So we're going to, since there's blue and pink flying around, we're going to take a little bit of this purple value here and lay that into the white a little bit. You're not going to hardly see the difference compared to the pink value and the pink hue, but you'll notice a difference against plain white. You can see there's a half step or a step more down from the titanium white straight out of the tube. I actually want to bring that down another half step probably. It's not the brightest thing, I mean it's the lightest thing in the scene, so that's not horrible, but it needs to be relatable or it'll look out of place. So we have this, what appears to be a very light pink when it's against the gray. When you hold it against the pink itself, it goes back to appearing to be a white. And that's what we're going to use for the lightest part of the lettering. And the lettering also runs towards the shadows. There's a little less variation in values, so we're going to just put a real touch of black into this, make a gray for that E is kind of just rolling out of view, and then we'll mix the two together as we go for our in-between values. So we have hues and values for the pillow and some values of the white for our lettering on that pillow. Alright, so now we can just start focusing on following our, I'm going to use a number 6 filbert to start. I'm going to start on the darker side of the pillow along this bottom edge. And you can see the shadow kind of comes, our light source is over here shining down on it, so it's very dark along its edge as it has turned away from the light entirely. And there's a little bit of spots down in here, it's not catching much light. And hopefully this makes for a okay pace, breaking this up so that we can actually spend a lot of time working our edges and our transitions to really lay in that level of nuance that is missing from the faster paintings we do on Mondays, the alla prima paintings. Stops right about here. And it's got some shadow in it there, so we need a little more paint here. So it's the middle of the week. Hopefully your week's going well. Mine's not going bad. Having a good week. Always looking forward to the weekends though. More time with family. Start picking up a little bit of the lighter adding a little more purple in. Didn't quite get enough yet. I gotta see where that... It's really a bummer that I missed the lettering there. I have the option of just leaving it out entirely, but I think it adds too much to the overall image. Let's see what you got here. Not watching. Yeah, the toned canvases. I need to plan a little bit better and give notice so that they can be pre-toned for when the show is going to be, so that you can follow right along. But I do need to look at this lettering a little bit. I should have paid a little closer attention when I was doing the transfer for this one. Would have been a lot easier if it was still on the image here. They're very light ladies, and I'm going to color over them. When we star hanging out up here. I've got my reference image over here on a tablet where I can change the size and actually see it a little bit larger, and need to get a more convenient location for that, but today I don't have that, so working with what I have. But it just, screen went a little dark on it there, so I had to step over and take care of that. Kind of stylized lettering. Comes a little bit lower. I'm just using the number 2 filbert. Try to lay these in. This comes pretty close. A little bit wider at the bottom here than the top. And I know I'm not using the proper value just yet. Just trying to get this represented on here so that as I fill in the remaining part of the pillow, that I don't forget about it. But that's if you're doing a transfer, the lesson to learn is to make sure you don't miss any of your transfer lines. It'll save you a lot of heartache in the process. Alright, yeah. I guess it gets the point across. Alright, so let's go back to the pillow values here. And we're gonna step up into, looks like a large portion of this is in around this value here. I might be laying it even a little bit too dark here already. I have to step it up just a little bit shortly. Our pillow here. Got a rough edge up here. Get into the light. This is actually a little bit lighter in here. I'll have to step back down when I do the lettering inside. The actual parts of the ears, same as the value on the outside here where it's really turned away. Stepping up. What I tend to do a lot of times when I'm stepping from value to value on my way up, I'll actually use the same brush and use what's on the brush to make my mid values between the what I'm working with now and where I'm going. So I clean some of it off the brush and then leave what I have, and this is very much showing as too much of a purple. Once we get some of the other pink on here, I think it'll blend out alright, but one of the things I always find interesting is how, with this gray background with some tan in it, these look very pink. When you get them against just white itself, you lose some of the red value and it comes across very purple. I've always found that interesting, how the color's appearance changes based on what it's around. It's an interesting property of light. And I think we're going to have to lighten this up some. But yes, this would make a nice gift for a loved one. Significant other in your life. How's the sound quality? Is the music too loud for when I'm talking, or does my voice cut in well and you can hear me plainly? Let's see, reference wise, this actually is going to have some shadow on the downside of it. What I am feeling right now is that it's, again, I should stick to what I originally planned here. Right now there's not enough of the rest of the painting on. This looks very dark against that white background, but once everything is around this is much darker, it's going to make this stand as a very light value. Just everything is relative to everything else that's in your painting, so you have to keep that in mind. It's hard feeling to fight because it just looks wrong, and it's possible it could be wrong and you'll have to do some adjustment down the road, but if you try to adjust it a little too early, you're not going to make it any better in the long run. So it's better to wait till you have more of the painting in place before you go making too many large adjustments to what you've already planned out. Soften this out, blend a little bit more to work on some of the texturing. This is a very short-haired fuzz that's on this pillow. So it's not exactly smooth, but so you want it to be soft. You don't want to texture-wise make it too smooth or it'll start to look like a hard object. Again, that has to do with how you soft your highlights and everything are as well, and how quickly the transitions happen into the shadows and lights. Between the lights and shadows, the softer objects tend to be a little less distinguishable where that transition lies. And I painted over my star. So what we're going to do now is pick up a little bit more. There's a little bit of the shadow that's on the back side of the heart here I want to bring in. A little bit too much there, Jim. Thank you for that feedback, Debbie. I'm glad you could join me this morning. It is more fun to paint when there's paint along with somebody rather than just to the camera itself. Now I'm kind of tapping the brush a little bit on this transition to try to soften it even further, give it that little fuzz feel to it. This makes a very small overall difference, but it does make that difference of that it's fuzzy. See, I'm kind of going all over with this same brush, not really cleaning it, so I am moving some values around a little bit. That adds some variation because I'm just tapping. Again, adding to that fuzz appearance. And shortly we're going to work on cleaning up the lettering. That's one of the things that always amazes me is all these little details that you can add to a painting that you can barely see as they're being done, but when you step back after it's done, you're like, wow, that really is better. Even though you couldn't see the changes as they were happening so much. It's kind of an interesting property, and that extra polish that really separates a quick painting from one that you've spent a lot of time and focus on. And that was what was missing. That's what's missing from the Monday paints, is they're more painterly, they're fun to do. but the quality nuance is just not there. Alright. I'm actually going to bring in a little bit of white down into this mixture here. I want a little bit lighter value, almost kind of a highlight that's along this edge, this part of the pillow. There's some highlight here, a little bit of highlight here. It's a soft highlight, so we're not going to go real high in our step up in value, and we'll tap it in just so that it's soft. Right along here. And kind of out into here. There's actually a little bit catching up on here. Not quite as much. Bring that up a little bit. Now softly go over this with a number 10 very, very lightly. I'm going to pick up just a little bit of paint before I do that so I don't have a wet or a dry brush. I don't want to lift the paint off right now. I'm just going to try to soften this a little bit more. Ever so gently. As Bob Ross likes to say, 2 hairs and air. You're just very lightly brushing. Just kind of softening these edges just ever so slightly. Kind of pulling the paint down in the same direction. You don't really need to for this object because it is soft, but and I've got a little bit of a paint that's thinned a little bit too much there. One thing working, this is a panel board. It's gessoed panel hardboard. The paint wants to slide on it a lot of times. So it pulls thinner than what doesn't hold quite as well in place as what a canvas does. So I'm just kind of going back in, laying a little bit more paint on top because it lets some of that white show through and shows a lighter value than what I had intended. Yeah, I'm always amazed at how the other colors and values really change what you're seeing. It's kind of magical. It's also frustrating. And you may have to go back and actually adjust for, a miscalculation, but you can't make that determination at this point in the process very easily. And the more experience you have, the more assumption, the more expectation. Like if you've done this before enough times, you're going to kind of know, well, I can see that it's going to be too dark as it is once I get everything else filled in, because I've done this enough to know what that relationship kind of looks like. But me personally, still growing, still learning, so I don't have that same level of expertise just yet. that would allow me to see a bit of this transfer coming through here. That would allow me to make the best judgment there. I think I'm close. I don't think it's going to diminish the painting much filling it in as it is, but I may have to adjust it later. Alright, I'm going to go back to that number 2 filbert to work on the lettering here a little bit more. Let's see. Where am I put a little bit of this white. It doesn't look white until I'm going to use a separate number 2 brush to do the pink in between. That's right. And the more paint and the more practice you do, the closer or the further down that journey you reach. Debbie had commented that that's why we paint, that the journey towards mastery is part of the process. And so I was just responding to that. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned the comment first. It would make a little more sense. I wasn't just talking to voices in my head. That pink region a little bit larger in there. It actually almost comes clear through on this top right portion. We're getting some blending going on here. It's kind of diminishing the value of the pink that I'm putting down. So I picked up some more pink to help bring that back. Yeah. Not horrible. I talk in negatives. I need to learn to be more optimistic. Instead of saying something's good, I tend to say things are not bad. I really need to just realize, yes, things are good. And it's okay to say that. How do you speak about things like that. Do you pessimist or generally pessimistic, or are you generally optimistic? Especially when it comes to your artwork. Alright, Deb, you're asking if I'm going to start and work my way out painting. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Are you talking like starting in the middle and working my way out from here? Or... or are you talking like in life? Well, next session we'll probably paint the bear, and then we'll paint the rose, and then we'll paint the background in. So it kind of is working from this part and then out, and then, next out. The shadows that are cast here on the tablecloth, I paint with the tablecloth because it's being cast by the rose, but it's actually part of the tablecloth, so... As far as life goes, one day maybe I'll be able to paint as my career, but I have a young family, so I've got a lot of dependents that I got to provide for, and my official schooling is in computer programming, and so that's what I do as my day job. I work in manufacturing, writing some applications for data collection and control of automation equipment. Is anybody watching here? I think, Debbie, do you paint for a living now? I know there's various Evolve students who actually are already painting in a professional manner before they even sign up for the course. They're just trying to bump up their skills. Debbie says she believes we can't have good without the bad, just like art can't have lights without the darks, and that's a good philosophy to have. Appreciate the feedback there, the comment. Let's see what we have. This actually needs to be a little bit darker here. A little darker, because we're gonna... This bottom edge really is... darker than the rest of the heart around it there. Bring this back up, let's clean some of that off. Well, I can freehand it on here. I don't think it's as exacting as if it was not lost in the transfer process. I do kind of wish I hadn't missed those lines. All you can do is take what you have and do the best you can going forward. So don't worth fretting about too much, I suppose. Just kind of gets lost down in here. Go back to our 2-inch brush, number 2 brush that I was using for the. I'm just gonna drop this in and kind of blend it out actually. It's just almost lost completely on that shadow. Bring this up in value as it comes around. Definitely didn't come out quite how I expected. I'm stopping here to read some of the comments, sorry. Well, you're in the right place. The Evolve program definitely can teach you this basic skills you need, the fundamentals to really expand from. Less available there is, some of the process of composition, but there's some of that you can pick up from their live classes. I'm real thrilled with how this is blending out back in here. Tap this. Definitely have no regrets about signing up for the Evolve program. I feel I can only keep improving from here. It's actually needs to be darker. Slow this down. What I'm doing right now is pulling some of that dark shadow from the heart down to use along the bottom of the lettering here, because it really does kind of just about disappear from sight on this bottom edge. Clean that up and clean up the edges a little bit here. And I'm going to kind of soften it just a little bit. It is kind of embedded in, so I don't want to break that up too much, but I want to make it appear to be part of the pillow rather than simply laid on top. So I'm gonna kind of touch these edges around, help marry it in there a little bit. Yeah, we're just lightly tapping. I got the brush vertical, so I'm not making a very wide mark. Just kind of marrying these edges together a little bit so that they move into each other, because it's fuzzy. I gessoed these panels. Right now I have a pretty harsh texture that's running diagonally across the surface. I'm still kind of playing with how many coats I want on and which ways I want the brush strokes to lie on it for the texturing at the end. I'm trying to do a crosshatch, but it seems like the last layer tends to leave the deepest. So maybe some sanding would be in order in certain spots. But still searching for the texture that I find ideal. That's one thing I like about the hardboard, is that you can actually influence that yourself instead of relying on just what you can buy. Because it makes a difference in how the paint looks once it's down. It's just another aspect of control you can have if you desire it. I'm going to go back to that number 10 brush. Put a little bit of this shadow value back in here. Again, just because I don't want to dry brush, and I'm actually going to soften this even more here along where this letter is. It's very dark in this region. And that to kind of be lost where the letter turns. Looks like I gotta clean up the inner values inside those letters with the pink. Tap that in. Got a little bit of white into there. More than I wanted. Looks like that white does come down a little bit further into this V. It comes down from this side. Hey Barbara, thanks for joining us. Glad you could make it. I would love to see your painting, Debbie. I really wish I had kept those transfer lines. This needs to be a little bit wider here. Very much darker on this side. There's a shadow on this bottom. These letters themselves actually stick out and have their own form. They're not just flat. Part of what's missing in this painting right now. So we're going to add in some form on these lettering by adding some shadow to the shadowed side and some highlights to the lit side. Just a little bit of shadow here. And then we'll get a little bit of highlights on there. Yeah, let me adjust the music a little bit down. Is that a little better? Barbara? A little bit of helps to go to the right spot and grab your highlight values. Alright, I don't feel like I'm making this a whole lot better here, so I will go over and blend them. And then stop there for a moment. Just kind of soften them out a little bit. I'm always amazed at the ugly stages the paintings go through, if you will. Where it doesn't really come together till it's all wrapped up. When this dries, we may have to go back over this and lighten the white. I've gotten it blended out with this darker pink value a bit too much, I think, and losing some of the contrast. And that's one of the nice things with painting. If you have messed it up, you can wait for it to dry and you can correct those issues as well. You just gotta take the time to fix things. So at the end of the day, it's all how you want it to be. Alright, I'm going to try to add that star back in freehand here. It's another thing that'll have to be painted again once it's dry, so I don't blend. It's going to blend with the paint here quite a bit, but I want to make sure I put it in now so I don't end up leaving it off. It's at least a placeholder for it anyway. Looks like I'll have to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to actually use a number one liner brush. Try to clean up that from the outside. Oops. Lost my top little leg of the star here. Alright. I think that's about all we're going to do for today. On next Wednesday, we will work on the bear itself and do this much of the painting. And then we will, following Wednesday, fill in this rose. The rose itself, to get the shape and the form here. It's pretty subtle, so it may be a very small area, but it's going to take that time to really get the nuance that shows how softly the petal rolls from the light. And then the following week we will finish it out with filling in the background and doing the tabletop here. So if you have any other questions, I'll watch the chat here for a minute. Yes, Debbie, taking pictures as you go. That's the other thing about recording this here, is that I can go back through and flip through and see the progress of the painting emerge. So yes, taking pictures as you go, and also looking at just your paintings over time and seeing how you and your skills itself have progressed is pretty nice. All right then. There's no questions. We'll sign off today. On Friday, we'll be doing a wet on wet landscape, and hope to see you there. And don't be too hard on yourself. Just remember, keep painting. Bye bye.